Good, good. You have your coffee?
I no coffee, but breakfast, yes.
Okay. All right. Are you a coffee or a tea person?
I am. So here's the thing. I stopped having coffee about 1.5 year back. So yeah, maybe a tea, a bit of tea.
All
But
right.
yeah.
Maybe I should change the name to Coffee and Tea with Sales Engineers since not everybody drinks coffee. But thanks so much for meeting up. If you remember, when you first learned about, right, in at this company that there was this profession, what was exciting to you about it? What was obviously surprising to you about it? Like you said that you don't even know if this role existed. Any thoughts on what was going through your mind about what this profession is?
Oh, yeah. When I was considering a move from London to Singapore, and we were looking at a couple of roles where I could join. And I came upon this role that, hey, I could be a solutions consultant. And I started off as an individual contributor. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you can be a solutions consultant slash pre-sales person. Sorry about that. Pre-sales consultant. So I was like, okay, I went into, okay, what exactly do we do there? So it was more about, hey, we technically sell the solution to prospects and customers and increase solution adoption. A few other options as well. I could potentially join as a biz development person as well because I had the experience. But I was like, hey, let's try this role. I think the exciting part of that was being a crucial part of campaigns, at the same time making an incredible amount of difference when it comes to campaign closure, working with prospects and customers. So that was
Mm-hmm.
a major thing for me, which really excited me to explore this role.
So business development was another option which you were already familiar with. Like most people, you ask, hey, there's a business development opportunity. People think, okay, it's sales, bringing new customers on board. And so you had familiarity of that. So you knew what that life would be like. But when you learn about this solutions consultant, pre-sales consultant, solving problems, if I heard you correctly, right? Having a bigger impact in the campaign success was what was attractive to you.
Correct.
And did you know what kind of impact? Because you had never been an SE before. Did you know other people that were at this company that were in that role that kind of um, made you aware that hey, that person seems like they're making a lot more impact than business development? Or how did you assess that this would be more meaningful than business development?
So how it came about to be was the existing team who were there, they were quite focused on post-sales aspects.
Mm-hmm.
That is expanding the customer base. So they were more focused on that. But as there was a reorganization happening, the new leaders coming in had a different view of where they wanted to take the team. They wanted to ensure that the existing customers are happy. We
Mm-hmm.
definitely want to keep them happy, but at the same time, we wanted to get more aggressive on acquiring new customers as well. And at that point in time in that region, they'd not signed a new customer for quite a few quarters. So that was a challenge. So the perspective, it was an opportunity to change the dynamics of the organization, the approach, and evolve further. So I entered at a junction where there was quite a bit of shift and transformation happening. And that's what excited me as well. So there was no, per se, a standard role model or somebody I could see and be like,
Yeah.
okay, this person is already doing that. However, when I was taking the role, I researched a bit as well in the market, the opportunity, the growth path for the function that I'm getting
Mm.
into. And I could relate that, okay, if I take this role and it's for this solution, what would I end up doing? That's how I ended up getting into it. And sometimes it's also about, it's not just about theoretically how it's going to be. It's also about what you make of a role, an
Yeah,
opportunity to get. So,
absolutely.
and I really made the best of the opportunity when I got the IC role. I did not even stop there. I was a pre-sales consultant, but I did not let that stop me from going above and beyond and doing more
Yeah.
uh, than that.
That's amazing. You're expressing the quality. One of the key qualities of being a sales engineer is the intellectual curiosity and finding solutions. It sounds like the sales was not functioning as, and you and the team identified that we got to do something different here. And then different was establishing this pre-sales consulting function and you leaped into it to help evolve it. And I think the reason I'm asking these questions is because I'm trying to put myself in maybe whenever somebody's watching or listening to this, maybe they're a business development person, or maybe they're in sales, or maybe they're in account management, or maybe they're SDR, and they're observing that the way in their company sales is functioning without sales engineering is a gap. And from hearing your story about how your company didn't have that role, you leaped into it, even though you were not certified. Like, they didn't look around and say, here, we have a undergrad or master's in sales engineering person. Devina, you get this role to go launch. Like, they didn't, and you didn't. You didn't know about this role. But somehow you leaped in and you identified, and I'm assuming things were much better after that, because over and over it's proven that sales engineering adds such an amazing value to just sales success, right? So what an amazing story. And I think the reason I want to do these is because I wish, I was even earlier in my career, before I moved into sales engineering, I was developer and I was doing integration consulting, and I had done 2 or 3 different roles, even though my undergrad was in computer science. And I think it was because I wasn't happy with what I was doing, and I was looking at what were the known careers that I could go into. I wish I had heard somebody, or I wish I had seen somebody, or somebody in my network was a sales engineer, that I could have talked to them about, hey, what do you do? What is your day-to-day life? How do you make a difference? I think if that had happened 5 years before I became a sales engineer, I probably would have become a sales engineer then, right? Because it connected so well with who I am. So that's how it started for you. But you've stuck into it. I don't see, what's amazing about, even as a leader that you are in sales engineering, there are so many professions, Davina, we can qualify for in a second. We can go into a company and they need professional services leader. They'll be like, oh my God, you know how to sell, you know how to solution, you know the product. Please come in and be a professional services leader, or services customer success leader, or sales leader, or all these professions, business development. What keeps you going in this profession?
I think sales engineering or solutions engineering, there are different terminologies out
Yes.
there right now, right? I see this specific function, which is at the juncture, or it interacts with so many different functions in any business,
Yeah.
be it sales, be it customer success, be it different departments, product, marketing. It's literally interacting with everything. And that's one of the best things I like about it. The ability to be customer facing, at the same time add to campaigns, expand business, and make a difference in any business end to end.
Mm-hmm.
That's what excites me. And one of the reasons I'm still here is because I think there's a lot which can be done in this function when
Yeah.
it comes to evolving the model, the best practice. And it requires a lot of coaching as well. That's what excites me.
Yeah.
Because just like me, a lot of the people we recruit, they're at times not from sales engineering background.
Yeah.
They may have some raw innate qualities of, okay, I know how to be customer facing, I can talk to customers, but the concepts of solution selling, value selling, tweaking those and working with new talent, molding them in the profession, and that's something very exciting. And that goes long term with
Yeah.
people. When they imbibe those qualities, it stays with them long term. So it makes a huge amount of difference. And across the years. So when I picked up this role, you're right. There was no, awareness about this. Like, I didn't even know, for example, Master of Technical Sales, John Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
I did not even know about it for another 2 years.
Yeah.
That was when I joined. Okay, there was a lot of focus on acquiring new customers. And then we were talking about, okay, what's the next step in evolving the solutions engineering team? And that's when we started looking out. That's when I ended up looking, okay, there are some books, some
Yeah.
recommendations, best practices. That's how I, ended up looking at it. And we ended up devising and even evolving our own methodology in combination with what's there in the industry. We had to adapt it to what will be best for the organization that time.
Yeah.
So we evolved it and it was excellent. So it's this opportunity to make an impact across the business, impact all functions. I think that's very exciting.
It's got aspects too, so it's never boring, right? Because of all these other aspects. It sounds like I heard you, it's ever evolving. And I think that's what I've stayed in sales engineering for a long time. I did deviate a little bit to channel sales, and which was really amazing because I got to be on the other side of sales engineering, which is actually carrying a quota and direct sales. And I gained a lot of interesting insights. But yes, you're absolutely right. If the profession keeps evolving, it keeps this excitement around, we don't have it all figured out, right? And the longer you stay in it, right, and especially with AI, with all these new innovation that keeps happening, from demo automation to RFP automation, I think the profession is evolving. So good. So it's, it's pretty inspiring that, similar to me, what you're doing is not just staying in the profession, but you're also raising awareness, right? And mentoring and coaching and empowering others to not just enter, because I feel like two problems are, a lot of people need to enter the profession, right? Because when you just look at how many sales engineer positions are open on LinkedIn, I talk to SEs across the industry, SE leaders. It's really hard to hire for SEs because you don't have a big pool to pick from. So there's a gap in, more people need to enter, but there are a lot of people that have entered without any formal training or certification. I joke about this, where if you tell a sales rep, your biggest, most enterprise strategic sales rep that makes 400, 500K a year because they're bringing amazing, big, amazing deals. You tell them that, hey, next time you go to your medical surgery, whatever it is, the doctor that's going to see you and do the surgery, which is your life depends on it, never really went to a school. They just learned how to do this on the job. Because that's what you're doing. When you're putting your SC in front of your most strategic, biggest opportunity of the year, you're putting somebody who doesn't have a degree in sales engineering, but you are trusting that person for your paycheck, right? And one, it would freak out that salesperson to just observe that, but it would not change any behavior because they actually trust that SC, because that sales engineer has figured it out, right, along the way. And they have proven over and over that even without a certification, they can close big deals, they can bring quality deals, they can do better discovery, they can persuade a prospect away from their competition. So all of these things people figure out. But I think it takes much longer for all of us to figure it out on our own, trial and error, versus I believe that there's an amazing value of what you're doing in bringing your experience forward to others. It may, all smart people, it may take them 5 years to figure it out, but they can talk to you, they can talk to me, they can read books, they can talk to others and figure it out in months versus years. So amazing that you're doing that. Thank you for doing that.
No, definitely. And I totally agree. In fact, so I'm doing my executive MBA from Miami Herbert Business School, and they have different programs going on. So I was even pitching to the program directors that, hey, why don't you guys launch specific certifications for, like, there are certifications for sales, enterprise sales. I was like, do something for sales engineering as well. I was like,
Yeah.
we can collaborate and introduce something like that, because we do have academies out in the market, right, in the US here, where there are academies who have certification six-month programs.
Yeah.
It would be excellent to see even universities, if they start introducing certifications around it. That would be interesting as well.
Totally. And do you think people will pay for it? I went through my executive MBA as well, paid it all from my pocket. And most everybody in the program, this was an executive MBA, so everybody was working full time. Most everybody in the program was well established in their own profession. So engineering, services, right, development, research. The core reason, the common denominator that I heard from everybody else, why they were getting an MBA, why they were investing while they were working, spending time, is they wanted to leap out of their profession, right, into something bigger, something better, something more management, something more strategic, right? Hence, paying whatever amount, it could be $50,000 to $200,000 that people are investing in themselves, was totally worth it, totally justified. Not just the money, but the stress of working and going to school at the same time. And I saw all of them were there for a purpose to leap out into something bigger and better. And you're absolutely right. I've seen school teachers, librarians, I'm trying to think of all weird scenarios, customer support, account managers, individuals that I've hired along the way that were probably, I don't want to share any numbers, but they essentially leaped from their current role, succeeding in their role, moved into sales engineering. Within 1 year or 2 years, they were making double, at least double of what they were making in their previous roles, and excelling and loving. So you're absolutely right. I think if there were more programs like that in the MBA, it's people will pay for it, right? Individuals like us, just the same way you and I invested in MBA, it's very equivalent to, could we invest in sales engineering MBA focus? And then you know that once you come out of that, you're going to get an amazing sales engineering job that you're going to love it for life, and you're going to make a lot more money. So.
Yep. No, definitely. It reminds me of one crazy story that I remembered. So I met this lady a couple of months back. She used to be a bartender.
Okay.
She used to be a bartender, you'll not believe. And she decided to get into tech sector. And she pivoted. That was really exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
She pivoted from bartending to tech sector. And like you said, she made twice the amount of money. And when I was talking to her, and I was like, girl, if you do a couple of these additional certifications, you can even go higher. Sky's
Yeah.
the limit for you. And which also brings me to one point I quite often talk about. Look at the stats. How many women are there in sales engineering?
That's right.
Like when I joined the team, there was no woman. No,
Yeah.
we would have SKOs. I would be the only woman.
Yeah.
That was the crazy part. Across the years, okay, we did hire one sales engineer. That was excellent. And I tried hard to nurture her, and she's excellent now. She's rock star. But quite often I talk about women specifically have that innate ability. They build trust faster.
Yes.
They have that ability because people do tend to look up to them, trust them quite a lot of times.
Yep.
And women have that ability somehow. They bring about it.
Yeah.
So quite often, I even pitch to women that, hey, if you're looking, especially young women, you're looking to pivot and you're good at talking with customers, building trust, etc. You want to be customer facing. You want to be there where the action is when going after deals and campaigns. Get into sales engineering. And quite a lot of times, I've seen people being afraid of taking quotas or being part of roles where there's quota involved. So I often tell, hey, a lot of times in a lot of these organizations, there are team-based quotas as well, if you're afraid, right? It's not just totally dependent upon you. It's a team sport.
Yeah.
I think that's something I really want to go after maybe in the next few years.
Yeah.
Spread awareness more, even from diversity perspective.
Absolutely.
More women. I think
I'm so glad you brought that up. This wasn't even part of our discussion topic, but I've always believed, I'm totally 100% with you. I've always believed that there should be more women in sales engineering. It's an amazing profession with the flexibility that you have with travel opportunities. But you're right, like the core of the profession is, how do you build trust? How do you nurture a relationship? How do you build credibility with an audience? And I would love to see more diversity in this profession. Absolutely. Huge opportunity there. And continue to raise awareness, because yes, we need more women sales engineers. Actually, even when I was coming up with these shirts, right, I wanted to, in the beginning, it was just like black, boring, right? I think I need to come up with like pink, attract more women focused colors to make it more fun. So you're spot on. Talking about sales reps, you have so far in your career worked with all different personalities, all different types and styles, and this is one of the qualities, right, that I feel great sales engineers inherit, is the ability to be a chameleon, right? Because it's rare that you're working with just one AE, right? One sales rep, right? You're usually assigned to multiple. And I've yet to meet a pair that is the same style. So they're all unique. And I think as an SC, you have to absorb and adopt like what their style is, and then find a way to optimize how they function. So it's a lot of things that often is not talked about, but when you do it right, it works magic, right? But thinking through all of those amazing personalities that that you worked at, on the positive side, anybody that sticks out to you, any quality that you remember from one of the reps, that something he or she did, or the way they supported you, or the way they did sales? Share some examples of qualities of amazing reps that you cherish.
Let me think. Across the years, yes, I have worked with, even when I was an individual contributor, working with different A's, all different personalities. Some are a bit more reserved, some more outspoken, some to take control, some to give away control, that, okay, you drive the conversation. And yeah, you got to play the game of really understanding your AE. And at the end of the day, ensuring the outcome you want. You want the deal
Yeah.
signed, you get to it in the fastest possible manner, in the best outcome for both parties, the customer and yourself, right? Across the years, there was one and there are a lot of qualities, excellent qualities of good A's, right? And I'm from enterprise sales background, so specifically the ability to navigate really tough ecosystems. So there
Mhm.
are companies where there are multiple functions. To get a deal signed, you need to influence, get your champion, influence, mobilize multiple departments, multiple people, build rapport. Quality around that, all the way from navigating the campaign, doing the things at the right time, negotiations aspect,
Yeah.
saying no at the right time as well. But
We can
I
have a whole other coffee session, Davina, to just talk about that, because it's amazing how many sales engineers have a diluted or conflicted perception of what sales is, because they only experience their sales reps in a very small phase of the entire sales cycle. Like, we are blinded by or blindsided by what else happens before we are brought into an opportunity and after we're done with our part. And I think you and I have lived through, and I think the first time I lived through that, I was scared. I was scared to be the Batman, because I was always the Robin to my Batman, and I was always brought in to save the day and fight, but I had no idea what happened around before and after. There is a lot, and I think you and I should actually have another coffee session to educate, because SCs don't have to carry your quota and become a sales rep to really empathize what your AEs go through. But there is a lot of dirty work that SCs are actually sparred from being in our role. But anyway, continue. Sorry to interrupt.
so I think one of the best A's I've come across, and I'm thinking, should I give out the name or not from
Keep
confidentiality?
it anonymous, yeah. Unless you want to like at chat that person, recognize them in this video, but your call.
No, I think I should I'll just say the AE is actually from Australia.
Okay.
Dealt with sales reps from all regions, but one of the best, he was from Australia. And the reason why he was the best was, we were selling to a customer for a use case where the solution was not a good fit. It did not
Mm,
serve what the customer wanted.
mm,
There was a huge gap. And we all were quite sure there's no way this deal could go through. It would
mhm,
be a miracle for it to go through. And few months down forward, we got the deal. And it was the way he navigated the whole campaign, controlled the narrative.
mm,
It's about the narrative, how you're able to build that trust. He was literally even in all designing workshops as well, although he was not technical,
yeah,
but he understood technology enough that he could control the narrative. He controlled every meeting. He said, I'm going to drive this thing and I'm going to drive it to closure. And he did. And it was
amazing.
excellent. I think he was, and that was one of the toughest deals. I've seen a lot of happy go lucky deals that, okay,
Yeah,
perfect fit, good. No.
those are
True,
the easy ones, right?
those are the easy ones. True grit is when this deal is not going to go through. And he winged it he was pretty good.
It's
His
pretty amazing to see the masterwork, right?
Oh yeah.
Sometimes there's meetings that I'm on, it's lots of conflict and contention in that meeting. And you're right, it's the narrative is what changes everything. And I see some amazing AEs that words they choose to say in that moment, and the way they say it, either with confidence or with persuasion, sways the decisions, right? And it's it's pretty amazing that we all think that customers are making a decision because of this feature and that capability and this differentiation. All of those things are important, but at the end of the day, people buy from people, right? And when you see these masterclass expert account executives that are top of the top because of a reason, and when you look at their personal, most of them, when I look at their, when I observe their personal life, it's not that they are that way just when they show up to work. They're usually experts in other domains as well, because it's that quality of narrative. If we all can control the narrative, if I can control the narrative with my kids, I'm all of a sudden a better parent instead of screaming at them or yelling at them. So you're spot on. And that's an amazing story, right? Being able to experience. And I think this is a luxury that we as SCs have, is actually, this is something I talk to a lot of sales leaders, is that the vantage point that SCs have, we are in the field observing what's working and what's not working by these AEs. Most of the sales leaders will never be in the field that much to be able to observe that day in, day out. But they never will go and talk to the SC saying, Devina, you work with 3 AEs. Tell me about what A, B, or C are doing better than the others. Like, rarely a sales leader ever comes to SCs or comes to me to say, what's your vantage point? And I think it's such a unique vantage point that gets underutilized. But
That's that's true. And across the years, I've seen instances where sales engineering function is quite often, how do you compare it to sales function? Is sales engineering a support function to sales? Does it have the same voice of the weight of their voice?
Mhm.
And that's something quite often I have coached SEs to add that weight of voice. Like across the years, from where we started, where sales engineers perhaps did not have a lot of say, right?
Mhm.
They're sales support. They're there when the salesperson invokes their help, right? From that point, we worked hard towards taking sales engineering function to a point where sales and sales engineers, they were at equal par
Mhm.
when it comes to saying yay or nay, whether even we should even go after this deal.
Right.
Ensuring we took it to a point where sales leaders actually would go and talk to sales engineers separately to
Mhm.
understand their perspective. Because that's where, and that was the funny part. You want to know I always say, you want to know the truth about a deal, whether it's real or not,
Right.
talk to the sales engineer. You
Yeah.
want to know how a specific AE is doing in the field, go talk to the sales engineer. They'll give you the truth. And quite
Yeah.
often, in the sales organizations I've been, we took it to a point where the sales leader would always go to the SC and SE leaders to know the
Yeah.
truth. And and that's how you also build trust and respect in
Totally.
the organization, right?
Totally.
It's definitely tough. You need to manage the dynamics not to piss off your AE because you're telling the truth,
Yeah.
but you want to be the credible part of sales.
I think it's happening more and more. You're spot on. The role has evolved from just a support function to now almost at parity, but creating a different value, right? It's not apples to apples, it's apples to oranges between AE and SE. But one thing I'm super empowered by, we don't currently use Vivin at my company, but amazing solution, amazing product. And one of the things I liked about how these technology platforms are evolving is they are formalizing the SC voice into forecasting. As an SC leader, what can you bring? Like, I actually am rarely invited, actually at my company I am, but in previous jobs, I was never a part of when sales leaders are looking at the pipeline and asking sales managers like which of these deals are coming. And you're right, sometimes SC is, buddy, you're dreaming up that this, you really want this deal to come, but that doesn't mean it's actually going to come, because I can see that there's all these obstacles that we haven't solved for. right? That vantage point of sometimes are not carried over to the sales manager, because the way a sales manager is learning about these deals is by having one-on-ones with their AEs, right? And so they believe whatever the AE tells, right? So I think it is a newer phenomenon, but it's absolutely critical, because at the end of the day, the chief revenue officer wants to know what's real, right? Because when they forecast too high or too low is when their credibility is at stake, right? And if they're only getting the sales point of view, sometimes that can be, and I'm sure a lot of them put some buffers like, okay, sales is saying they're going to hit this number, I'm probably going to shave off 20% of that. But I think having the SC and SC leadership voice and opinion there is very valuable. You're spot on. So you talked about this amazing sales rep that made the art of impossible happen. What about any SC experience, either your own SCs you have coached, SCs that you have worked with, any kind of memorable, fun story from the field comes to mind?
Yes, a few years back, I took a gamble on a young chap. He was out in the job market, and he'd been unemployed for a couple of quarters. And that was during COVID time.
Oh,
Tough
wow.
times. Yeah. And he was struggling. So I took a gamble on the chap. He had that raw potential of what we need from a technical salesperson. I say it's hard to teach people the soft skills part.
Mm-hmm.
Teach them technology,
That's right.
but you can't teach them how to get into a room, work the room, read the
On the
room,
audience.
own the audience, work out a way, build that trust.
He was
That
not
was
a sales engineer yet.
He was not.
Okay. All right.
He was not, but he applied to the role.
Okay.
He was actually an analyst. I remember. Yeah, I think he was an analyst, but not a sales engineer.
Okay.
And the time I spent with him, coaching him, molding him, it was so much of fun.
Yeah.
Of course, he learned the technology, but and he had the core potential for technical sales, that acumen.
Mm.
There's potential. You need to realize the potential by coaching, molding as to, okay, this is how you should manage. So that was so interesting. He was pretty young. I think he was in his mid 20s or early 20s. It was such an excellent time, and he did so well. And now he is leading a solutions engineering team in another platform team,
Amazing.
a regional team, and I'm so proud of him. He's doing so well.
That's amazing. And it sounds like when he was applying for this role, it was probably just one of the roles of many others that he was just, because it sounds like if he was out a couple of quarters, he probably had no idea what he was applying for, right? And here he was, started to work with you, learned the ropes, and now has a successful career.
Yeah.
That's an amazing story.
Yep.
Let me ask, go ahead. Was there more?
No, I think as people leaders, especially in sales engineering, there are these excellent moments where you get opportunity to actually pave somebody's professional life for next 10 years.
Yeah.
It's so gratifying. It is so gratifying.
Yeah.
And I got the same opportunity from my leaders, and they paved the path. I literally joke about that.
Yeah.
Hey, you gave me the opportunity. I moved to Singapore. I met my husband there.
Life changing.
Life changing.
I think all of us that are passionate about leadership and empowerment are that way because we were empowered along the way. And we saw that without this person, without these words, without this coaching, without this mentoring, probably would have done okay, right? We're smart people, but we might not have chartered into these unknown territories that were given to us by these leaders, right? And I think you see this where I have somewhat of an unorthodox style where when I'm talking to, not all the time, but for key direct reports, I'm often challenging them on what is your 3-year plan? What's your next year plan? And it's tough to talk to them because you're talking to your manager and technically you don't want to say my plan is not doing sales engineering, but I'm challenging that conversation to understand that if it is not sales engineering, that's totally fine too, because sales engineering gives you a tool set that can be applied other places. And my role is to help you achieve what you're not even imagining just yet, right? And if that achievement is not in sales engineering, I'm the last person that's going to come in the way and it's, oh, what do you mean you want to be in product management? Get out of this role. No. If you want to be in product management, that's amazing. Let's figure out what can you start doing right now in your SC role, right? Maybe I need somebody that needs to focus a stronger build a stronger bridge between us and product management team for the next couple of months. Why don't you take that initiative? So this way you get to learn more about product management, and maybe you'll, through that experience, you're like, you know what? Now I know more about product management. I don't want to do that. Or you're like, you know what? I really love it. Let's figure out a way to move to product management. So I think you're absolutely right. It's my career has been shaped by mentors and continues to be shaped by mentors. It's not, I can figure things out once they're given to me, but we all as humans need somebody else that has different vantage points, because we can't think of everything, right? And we can't really think of what we don't know or what we haven't experienced. So it is very filling our cup, right? When that happens, when you actually look back and you look on LinkedIn, and it's, yeah, amazing that you're a leader now. If you hadn't applied for that role as an analyst, you wouldn't be here. So
Yep.
proud moments. Last question for you. I know we've been talking for a while. I should make this into a breakfast and coffee, because it's not supposed to be an hour long, but great conversation. The last question is really around something that I'm recently passionate about, Devina, is I feel as the profession has grown, I love the mastering technical sales, great demo to win. There's some amazing content out there that's written for sales engineers on how to be better sales engineers. I love all that content. I think there is not a lot of awareness for account executives, product managers. You mentioned right earlier on in the interview that there's SCs touch all these different professions, right? If you and I didn't really know what sales engineering was when we were entering this profession, I think about the account managers that we interact with, the product managers that we interact with, right? Non-sales people that we interact with, they're probably scratching their head going, why is this person asking me this question? What is their role? How did they become sales? Why are they sales engineers, right? And are they just like sales? They're just coin operated and quota driven. So I feel that there's something that we need to educate other people that interact with us on how best to optimize a value from sales engineering. So with that background, if you are broadly talking to sales reps that are starting to work with SCs or work with SCs, but are not really optimizing the value from their sales engineering, what are some guidance or recommendation would you give them so they can really maximize their SC relationship, their SC engagement, their SC value?
I A precursor to that, quite often I joke about it. A lot of A's think SEs are people you bring in when you want to do a demo. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
Just do a demo and
Do
you
a great demo, by the way.
do a great demo, and that's it. You
Right.
don't need to know about the rest of the conversations which are
That's right.
happening. Why bother you? Just
Right.
do a great demo and we're good. Quite often talk about it. No, that's not all. There is
Right.
much more an SE can contribute in the overall campaign cycle. And across the years, I have coached not just the SEs to find more ways to better collaborate with AEs and get more involved in a campaign, but I even coach AEs as well quite a lot of times.
Yeah.
Sometimes there would be friction. Sometimes it would purely be about, hey, why don't you leverage the SC more? And what I recommend to AEs typically is, point number one, ensure you bring in the SEs early in the discovery conversation.
That's
They're
right.
there. Let them hear. Even if they're not saying anything, they're just listening. Let them hear the customer's pain area so that firstly, the customer recognizes them and the customer is not repeating their pain area to the SE later on when they want to have actual substantial conversations. And there's certain other things which I recommend that an AE and an SE, they're tires of a bike.
Mm-hmm.
Be in sync, completely lock in step. So
Yeah.
I often encourage A's and SEs to always stay in sync, whether, okay, at the commercial track, there may be financial conversations happening on pricing, licensing model. The SE needs to know about that. Quite often I would see the SE is working on the tech track. He or she has no idea that the commercial aspects have started.
Right.
And there's an impact of tech
Right.
and the commercial aspect. And both would be working on their own way. And you'd be surprised how many times this happens. So quite often I would
Right.
recommend guys stay in touch, stay
That's
in
right.
touch. Every meeting. If you're not able to join the meetings, but at least stay in touch on how the campaign is going. Have one-on-ones.
That's right.
Like we used to have. So a lot of these organizations have pod concept,
Yeah.
or it could be regional teams, how the pairing up happens between AE and SE, have weekly one-on-ones so that the SE can help you not just with accelerating the campaign, but even as you're doing lead generation, demand generation, and qualification, the SE can help you with the qualification as well. Because
Mhm.
a lot of times, an AE may not realize there are certain aspects which would make a difference in qualifying a deal, whether it's in or out, right?
Yeah.
I think that's really important. These are some of the high level things I definitely recommend to leverage SEs, and SEs play a great role. You'll be surprised how much an SE can contribute of all things in a commercial and legal negotiation.
That's
That's
right.
one of the weirdest things I've seen happen. You'll be like, what, an SE in a legal contract negotiations? Because what happens is a lot of times everybody who's in the room, they're non-techies,
That's
and they
right.
see a clause, they would not even understand the underlying technology and impact
Right.
that times, and the lawyers would be arguing. And I've seen instances where somebody who has the tech background is, no, you don't need to worry about it.
That's
Just
right.
relax. And he or she would explain that, hey, you don't need to worry about this clause. It's not a matter of concern.
Yeah.
So SEs are not just limited to tech aspect. They
Yeah.
can even help with legal negotiation clauses. They can even help with commercial negotiations when customers are pushing back. Why are you charging for this much? Justifying that. And SE is the one who can actually, in a credible manner, talk about all these activities which are done,
Yeah.
as compared to an AE who would know it, but he or she may not come across as persuasive because
Yeah.
they would not have seen it themselves. They just know theoretically this is what we do,
Right.
right? So
And
that
especially in enterprise sales, right? Like it's the demo when the light bulb went on. Yes, this is the right solution for us. It might have been months gone by since that, right? So the people that are negotiating in the commercial phase may have forgotten about the reason, the 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 pain points that this solution is solving for. So you're spot on. Having an SE in those conversations, not necessarily to negotiate on your behalf, but handle the objections from a technical and solution point of view could add tremendous value.
And I just want to say one last thing.
Yeah.
From demo perspective, we once signed a deal without doing even one demo. And it
Mm.
was one of the biggest telcos in
Wow.
Asia Pacific and Japan that time. Not even one demo. And
Mm.
signed the deal. It was about 4 to 6 months campaign. So
Just
that's
through conversations with the SEs.
with conversation on
Yeah.
value proposition. The customer was like, yeah, we know your solution, this and that. Didn't need demo.
Yeah.
It was all around, okay, building that trust narrative. Solution. The sales engineer was also there. The AE was also there.
Yeah.
There's so much of focus on, hey, engineer is just for the demo. No,
Right.
there's a lot more which can be done.
Demo is just a validation. If somebody doesn't know what solution you're talking about, demo is just like visually showing them that this is what the product can do. But if you can gain that trust outside without that, then absolutely. I think I love your first point also around discovery, right? And this is, I also feel a growing awareness around how to bring SCs earlier on in the conversation. Oftentimes, you're right, like sales may have that vantage point. And I think some of this is driven by scarcity too, right? Because one AE is usually sharing, it's a shared resource, right? So some of it is SE, if the SE calendar is totally booked and you can barely get them for a demo, you don't even think about getting them involved in discovery. And I think that's a message to SE leaders and sales leaders to think about if there truly is a value in SE and AE both doing discovery, which again, I'll go back to the points that we have made, which is the SC, let's say if the AE has been there a year and the SC has been there a year, right? The AE has seen 100 deals because they've worked on 100 deals. The SC that works with 3 reps has by default seen 300 deals. So the questions, the objections, what the prospect is saying or asking for, what the pain point they are mentioning, the SC has 3x times, just simple math, 3x times the experience and understanding that they can bring to that discovery conversation to understand. And it's like I was talking to Peter Cohen a couple of days ago, and he was talking about some stat around how many, like the biggest reason for, one of the biggest reasons for why customers don't buy is not because of competition or pricing or product features. It's a no decision, is that they are just not ready to move yet. And no decision is directly correlated to how strong of a discovery you did. Because if I wasn't able to understand why you're even talking to me, how can I convince you to make a decision on yay or nay? So anyway, so I think it's spot on that there is an opportunity. SCs can add tremendous value in discovery. It's just that AEs don't think about them as a discovery resource. To your point, it's, oh, I need a demo. Where is my SC? It's that correlation needs to be busted, right? That myth needs to be busted and expand beyond that. So amazing, amazing. Anything else you would say? I know I've taken up all of your hour. It was supposed to be 10, 15 minutes, but great conversation. I can see both of us are really having this dialogue to share what we have learned along the way. And it's really for, to me, if I am not in sales engineering, I want people to hear this conversation, get better, get more excited about what this profession is, get better understanding about the value and the impact sales engineers can have, and apply for it. If you've got the soft skills like that analyst, get into this profession, because most of us that are in this profession have either loved it, enjoyed it, cherished it, or we have leveraged this to propel ourselves into even bigger and better things.
Indeed, no, sure thing. Some of the things I'm really looking forward to in the next few years is indeed the same thing: spreading awareness about sales engineering, solutions engineering as a function, and on the diversity aspect as well, to see if we can make a difference, coach, mentor, launch campaigns around it. So these are some of the things I'm truly working upon it. Alongside, as I was mentioning to you a couple of weeks back, I've launched my consulting practice as well, where I am advising budding solutions engineering practices on what's the right approach to hit scale and growth. So it's exciting times, the function grow.
Should people just reach out to you on LinkedIn
Oh,
if they're
yes,
interested in coaching and consulting? Perfect.
indeed.
Awesome.
Happy to talk always.
Thank you so much, Devina. Great talking to you again. Thank you for taking the time and raising awareness for our profession. Have a great rest of the day and good talking to you.
Likewise. Thank you so
Take
much.
care. Bye. Here, I can actually stop here if you have a few more minutes. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. I'll slice and dice, and we wouldn't have an hour long on LinkedIn. But once I have, it'll probably take me a couple of weeks, but I'll probably create like a 10, 15, maybe 5, 6 minute version of something that I would love to post on LinkedIn. And then I have a YouTube channel that I'm starting to add some of this content. So if they are curious about those nuggets that you and I just talked about, and they want to listen to the full thing, we can have the long form on Spotify, podcast, or whatnot. But how was this good format? Did you enjoy it?
Yes, I
Any
really
feedback?
enjoyed it. Fun conversation. Good. I think you should do. When did you start doing these podcasts? Is it a
You're the first one, my friend.
Hey, I had the privilege. Excellent. So yeah, I look forward to
Any feedback on format? I'm genuinely, literally just wanting this to be a conversation than an interview styles. And I think a lot of our dialogue went in different directions, which is exactly what I want.
Yep, I think the format is good. Yeah, keep it free flowing. How
Yeah.
you're doing it, I think that's a good thing. Oh, another thing that you could also try is delve a bit deeper, like asking follow-up questions about sales engineers. Who are you talking to about their experience, so
Yeah.
that you can extract max value of their experience and the nuggets.
Yeah.
You prep for other speakers, doing a bit more research about their background,
Yeah.
right? go one level deeper, not just the generic sales engineering, but that aspect you can build upon it so that
Great.
you get more in-depth information, extract more nuggets out of them.
Right.
And that's something you'll
That's
get
great.
in as you have more podcasts. But I think I really enjoyed the conversation and the points. A lot of times, like I had a few points I wanted to bring up, so I automatically brought it up, even if you
Yeah.
didn't ask. That's how it should be. About it, talk about it.
You
See,
think the 5 topics are good, high level, a little bit
they're
about
good
how
conversation
how
starters.
you went into it, why do you stay in it? Then you give a little bit of an AE and SC point of view. I kind of, because one of the things that there's lots of podcasts like that. I'm trying to find something that's not being talked about, which is really from an AE perspective. Why should I listen to this podcast if it's for sales engineers? But it's really the way I want to promote it is it's not for sales engineers to hear about their profession. It's about non-sales engineers that work with sales engineers to come listen to this, right?
Got it. Got it. That is an interesting angle indeed. And now I relate to it as to why you would
Should
totally.
I be more, so I guess you didn't get that from, I should probably update my forms so people that are, wanting to do this coffee session with me have that vantage point more clear.
Correct. Just add in your form that target audience you're targeting,
Yeah.
is it sales engineers
Yeah.
or the rest of the functions. That'll help people, speak accordingly.
Yeah. Good. Awesome. Sorry, I felt like I just jumped right into it. So what I would also do is when you show up, right, let's have a little bit of a conversation to warm each other up, because I think I just started asking you questions and I was like, oh shit, like I should have at least said hi to you and how you're doing. And so that was another kind of lesson learned. It's like I don't need to jump right. It's like the show is on, right? The camera's on. Just go for it.
No worries, no worries. We can even do something fun. In couple of the conversations, if you have something interesting lined up, you and I could interview someone together. That
Oh,
I've seen models where there are podcasts where there are two main speakers
I like that.
and the third person is the guest,
Yeah.
and we would have a fun
This way
conversation.
we can play off of each other.
Yeah,
I love that.
you could
I
try that.
love that. You wanna be my co-host?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Whatever
Well,
we can.
you're raising awareness too, so I love that. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do that.
Why don't we? So the next one I'm doing is with Chris Brown, who is a senior director at Lattice. Why don't we do that one together and see how that one goes? Here, I'll send you his LinkedIn. I'll send it to you via LinkedIn.
Sure.
But I love that format. This way, it's like you and I can be, providing our own. Have you done these? So one thing I was noticing was, I think the way recording is going to come out is whoever's talking will be big screen. If we're doing the three of us, we need to figure out how to do it where like all three of us are visible equally the whole time.
Got it.
So let me figure out how we do that in Google Meet.
I also have Zoom license.
Okay.
We can test it out with Zoom.
Okay.
You have a third person just as a test run. If you can invite someone, you can test it on Zoom as to how it looks.
Okay. I love that. Let's try. So you know what the format is, and then you and I can just ask similar questions and let's do it. I love
Good.
that. Awesome. Thank you, Devina. I think, let me actually just confirm. I think I'm doing that with him next week sometime. So I'll let you know if that time doesn't work for you, we'll move it.
Okay.
But yeah, let's experiment with that.
Fun time.
Awesome. Great talking to you. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Talk soon. Bye.